Hello, hello, everyone.
Hi, thank you so much for joining. Let's
Oh,
give everyone a second to get into the room.
welcome to the Truist Foundation Fellowship Info Session.
We're so excited to have you guys today. I'll go ahead, give it one more second, and then we'll kick it off. Let me just make sure.
And
Okay.
it's so nice to see your faces too. If you want to turn your cameras on today, certainly feel free to do so. This is interactive, low key, all the good things with Maria.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Mary. We're really here to just offer some great information and hopefully answer all your questions and get you interested on the fellowship. But okay, with that being said, thank you everyone so much for joining. My name is Maria, and I'm an associate search manager here at the Watson Institute team. I'm so excited to tell you about the Watson Institute as well as the Truist Foundation Fellowship. But before I do, I wanted to introduce some of my colleagues who are also on the line. We have Milena, who's our Associate Director of Search, Nerva, Events Manager, and Mary, who's our Senior Events Manager. We're going to have a question and answer at the end of this. So, you have a lot of brains to pick from, and we're just so excited to be here and provide that crucial information to decide whether or not this might be a good fit for you. With that being said, let's get started. So, a little bit about Watson Institute. Watson Institute is really a place where impact-driven entrepreneurs and leaders can find their community, discover their calling, and accelerate their careers. What does this really mean? It means that we power fully funded, transformative fellowships for highly promising, impact-driven entrepreneurs. We do this in partnership with leading corporations and foundations, and we provide comprehensive support and training to ultimately help fellows continue making a meaningful impact in their communities, as well as providing access to a global network that is the Watson Institute community. Before we dive into the actual fellowship, I wanted to show you guys a little bit of stats that embody the Truist Foundation alumni over the last 3 years. There's a couple here and there, but just to highlight, we've had a total of 53 alumni. The total capital raised by our alumni has been 11.5 million. Total jobs created has been over 400. And there's a couple more here just to give you a sense of what the alumni have accomplished, with the knowledge that they've gathered and as they moved on from the fellowship. Okay, now let's dive in. So, about the fellowship. This fully funded, which basically means is of no cost for the entrepreneurs, is a 16-week fellowship that aims to find the most promising entrepreneurs, small business owners, nonprofit founders who are ultimately building economic opportunities in the communities that they serve that has been historically underbanked or underserved across Truist national footprint. A couple of details just to give you a sense of what the program looks like. The program will kick off on March 4th and go to June 19th. We will have what we call, excuse me, our virtual immersive, which is the first 2 weeks of the program where, not to be redundant, but we're immersing you in all things Watson and all things Truist Foundation Fellowship to give you a really good kickoff to the fellowship. This will be the first 2 weeks where the first week will be Wednesday to Friday, the second week, Monday to Thursday, where we will host these meetings from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to talk a little bit about the regularly scheduled program in a bit, but other than that, we will also be hosting some regional in-person gatherings, which essentially are going to look like networking and community events scheduled throughout the programmings in separate regions. Dates and locations are still TBD, but that information will be given down the line, so bear with us as we get that sorted. Other than that, we also wanted to highlight that we have the summit. And the summit is essentially our culminating moment of the fellowship that aligns with the end of the fellowship. So in this case, it'll be in June 2026. And essentially, selected fellows from the cohort will present their ventures to an engaged audience of entrepreneurs, community leaders, Truist representatives, and peers. It's a combination of our network as well as yours. And ultimately, we're gathering to celebrate all of the great ventures that have gone through this fellowship. Once you do gain access to the fellowship, you will gain access to the business and leadership workshops. Like I mentioned, The programming goes from March 4th to June 19th. And like I said, we have the virtual immersive the first 2 weeks, but beginning week 3, we kick off our weekly scheduled programming, which will consist of virtual workshops Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Outside of those workshops, we also have mentorship and capital connections throughout several opportunities gathered throughout the programming. We have our entrepreneurs in residence, our mentor roundtable. There's even one-on-one matching that's available, as well as preceptor mentorship that sort of encapsulate all of those mentorship and capital connections that we have to offer through the fellowship. As for base camps, we will be taking a deeper dive in a little bit, but just to give you a sense of what it is, it's a minimum of 5-hour impact workshop that's hosted, planned, and delivered by the fellow in their local community. And like I said, we'll get a little into it more, but essentially through this development of the base camp, you gain access to event planning development, one-on-one support, network expansion, and just valuable feedback from participants. And it's just a great experience overall. Again, we'll get into it a little bit more further down the line. Other than that, I wanted to highlight that you will also get pitch training and summit preparation. And just to give you a sense of how it kind of connects with the summit, we will have the opportunity to develop and refine a professional, compelling pitch through dedicated sessions. And then ultimately, like I mentioned, in the summit, selected fellows will be able to present their ventures to the community in the summit. But yeah, just a couple of things to highlight about the programming. As for eligibility, when we're looking at the types of ventures in the applications, we're focusing on two areas. One is small business ecosystem builders, which essentially means you're helping out small business owners and other entrepreneurs succeed through training, funding, access, mentorship, marketing opportunities, or just any sort of essential business services. Or career pathway creators, which basically means you're building on ramps to economic mobility through workforce development, upskilling, job training, apprenticeships, or employment pathways. And really, ultimately, the theme of this is economic development. So that can take many shapes and forms, but really it comes down to these two big focus areas. As for locations, I don't want to read them all off to you, but you can see them here on our screen. This year, it's very exciting. Previously, we were only in Georgia. Now we've expanded across Truist national footprint, which I just think speaks to the location diversity that's going to be in this cohort, which I just think is just another fun feature of this year's fellowship. As for the business stage, we really do boil it down to it can take, sorry, let me actually backtrack. Your business stage and progress can take many shapes and forms depending on the work that you're doing. So we really boil it down to you've been operating for 1 to 5 years with fewer than 10 employees, and really you're just at a point of next level and you want to grow. So as broad as that sounds, I hope that's helpful to give you a sense of where you're at. As for time commitment, you must be able to commit to the full 16-week program. The expectation is that you are available and can commit to all of these sessions. We understand that life happens. For example, we have recordings and materials that are available, but ultimately the expectation is that you are able to attend all of these sessions. Like I mentioned, it would be Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And we cushion that to about 8 to 10 hours per week, which I'll get into a little bit more now. Oh yeah, sorry. Let's go next. Thank you, Milena. Okay, great. So,
Hey,
like
Maria,
I said,
Pamela, sorry, real
yeah.
quickly. Nina has a quick question.
Oh,
So sorry.
let's see.
Thank you.
Um,
I didn't want to continue, and forgive me if this is rude, but I live in Michigan and it's not on your list,
mm,
but Indiana is, and I'm like, well, that's close.
okay.
I'm very close to the border of Indiana, so part of my service area is in Indiana. So
Okay.
you have a
So
hard and
thank you
fast
so
rule on
much.
that?
No, yes, that's a great question. And thank you so much for bringing it up for your benefit and for everyone's. Really, it does come down to you're either based in or creating impact in the locations that we mentioned. So if Indiana is an impact location, then that is something that we would consider when looking at your application. Does anybody want to add anything? And then I guess the only other thing I'll mention is that Base camps are an important part of this fellowship, and I can circle back to it a little bit more and I'll tell you more about it. But the expectation would be that your base camp would have to be done in one of these, including markets. But I'll tell you more about base camps in a second. Does that answer your question for now, Nina?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Awesome. Okay. And thank you, Mary, for catching that. I was on a roll. I missed it. Okay, great. More on the time commitment. Yeah, we're good here. Okay, so like I mentioned, it's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The expectation is that you're able to attend to these sessions and that it is doable given your existing schedule for the March 4th to June 19th period. And like I said, this is the scheduling after we conclude the immersive for the first 2 weeks. And it really is 8 to 10 hours. Anything under the Watson Institute, Truist Foundation Fellowship Sun, we kind of cushion it to 8 to 10 hours to really give you a sense of what the expectation is and how much it would take for you to commit to this fellowship. This will include the weekly sessions I mentioned, any optional meetings, Basecamp implementation, as well as summit preparation. Mary, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to this too, Maria Pamela, if you don't mind.
Go.
And I just want to say that, knowing the value of this program, it definitely is a substantial amount, right? This is not a, $500 program that you're a part of, and if you, kind of agree to it, and then you end up pulling back out, it's not a huge deal. But that's not really the case, right? It's thousands of dollars that the founders are giving to invest in you so that you can create this impact. And so in saying this, I just want you to understand that, like, yes, there's so much value throughout that Maria Pamela will continue to kind of talk through, but the actual dollar amount value that you get just from being a part of this program is very substantial. And so we just want to ensure that that, like, if you are chosen, if you accept this, if you want to be, a prominent Truist fellow, that we really want you to understand that it is a very serious commitment, because if you take this seat, let's say, for instance, Nina, and you're like, I hate this, or I can't commit to this, and then you end up dropping, well, then it's really hard to then fill that seat and those dollars almost go to waste. So we just want to ensure the value of this is extremely high because the program is extremely impactful long term. So I just want to, like, say that because I feel like sometimes we miss that. But having been through multiple Truist Foundation fellowships, being here multiple years, seeing it, I just would hate for the experience to go to waste. So I want you to understand there's great value in the seat, if that makes sense.
No, that was a great add-on. Thank you so much, Mary. I don't know if anybody has any follow-up questions, but if not, we can continue. Yes, I think that's the main reason why I harp so much on the time commitment. Not only do we recognize that you are incredibly busy, but it is a big undertaking and something to recognize that, as I'm just gonna what Mary said. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now, base camps. So, like I mentioned before, base camps are impact workshops that are hosted, delivered, and planned. Excuse me, delivered by the fellow in their local community. It's a minimum of 5 hours. You need at least 30 participants. But ultimately, what you're doing is gathering a base of participants, going out into the community, growing your leadership skills, showcasing your venture, receiving feedback, expanding your network, all while growing your community's capacity. It's a great way to connect with the community you're impacting while simultaneously accelerating the impact that you're creating. And these opportunities are great. Fellows get to get to tailor them depending on what it is that they're doing and the goals. It's really a moment of alignment for fellows as well to go out into the community in a way that makes sense for them, all while fulfilling, of course, the requirements of the actual base camp curriculum. Like I mentioned, you'll get that event planning development, you'll get that one-on-one support, you have a curriculum to guide you through and a structure. I like to think of Watson as the guardrails. You're on your way to make this base camp a success, and we'll make sure that you get there. And then, like I said, just more network expansion, valuable feedback from participants, and that great component of being able to connect with your community and the feedback that comes with that. Okay, now a little bit about the actual application process. So Once you go and complete the application online, it takes about 30 minutes to fill out and answer all the questions. However, more time you want to spend on that, totally up to you, but we like to give it a ballpark of 30 minutes. The deadline application, the priority deadline application is actually on January 12th, but we will accept applications on a rolling basis after that priority deadline. I will begin to sound like a broken record and encourage you to start applying as soon as possible. We really do take into consideration when those applications come in and the order that they come in. So as soon as you're ready to apply, I understand taking a breather, really understanding what the fellowship is. But as soon as you're ready to make that commitment, I encourage you to apply as soon as possible. Yes, Milena, thank you so much. And then once we review your application, if we think that you're a good fit, qualified applicants will get an invite for a 20-minute one-on-one Zoom interview. And really, this interview just allows us to dive deeper into the work that you're doing, get more familiar, get more context, just for understanding of the work that you're doing, whether you're a good fit for the programming, and ultimately what you'd like to get out of the fellowship by participating. Acceptance and enrollment. So acceptance notifications will be sent out on a rolling basis. Applicants must confirm relatively soon to secure your spot, and then the program would kick off on March 4th. And then just some tips to keep in mind when filling out your application. When thinking about program fit, once you've read the requirements, once you've read the eligibility, once you've reflected a little bit, make sure to demonstrate how your venture aligns with the programming focus that we're offering. Make that clear so that we can also kind of fit you into why you are a good program fit. Additionally, when thinking about venture stage and quality, provide any external links that demonstrate the work that you've been doing. The more information, the better idea we have of what it is that of what you're doing and what you've accomplished. Ultimately, we just want to get a clear idea of what's been done and the progress that's been made, but also get a sense of how you'd like to grow your venture or your business. And then last one, clear, concise answers. I think that one's pretty straightforward. Be as clear and concise as possible. We're new to learning about your venture, so just be as clear as possible. We want to get a clear picture of what it is that you're doing through your work. And then, like I said, apply early. Don't try not to wait until the deadline. Don't wait until last minute. We review and admit on a rolling basis. And I just think, like I said, I'll probably say it once or twice more before this is over, but apply as soon as possible whenever you're ready to go. Other than that, that's really all of the programmatic info I had for you guys. I'll let the team share anything additional if there's something additional. But if not, I'll open up the Q&A. Please raise your hand if you have any questions, or feel free to put your questions in the chat. But other than that, I did want to say you'll be receiving a follow-up email with some links, some of the information we mentioned here today. We'll also send out a recording of this session if there's any point that you want to sort of refresh on. But no, I look forward to potentially seeing you in our applicant pool, and just thanks so much for joining. Let's get into the questions. Unless the team has something to say. Okay, I think we're good. Nina, go for it.
All right. So I don't think I completely understood the in person.
Mm,
Explain that more fully because I
for
did.
sure.
Go ahead. I'll let you.
Yeah, so the regional in-person gatherings are just going to be events that we schedule throughout the programming. What's difficult for me to kind of just communicate is that the dates and locations are still TBD. That's because, like I said, previously we were only in Georgia. This year we're going to have that location diversity. So once we have a clear picture of what that looks like, we'll have a clearer idea of what the possibilities are within that. But what I can tell you is that our programs team is great and fully recognizes that fellows need to schedule and plan ahead. So as soon as we have that information available, we will make that known to fellows. As for the in-person summit, in full transparency, because of the size of the cohort, and again, this location distribution, we will have an in-person summit as well as a virtual summit. They will both be scheduled towards the end of June, again, in alignment with the end of the fellowship. And again, it's just going to boil down to that location diversity, but all of that will be communicated once those details are fine-tuned.
Yeah,
I'm sorry I can't
can
give more
I
details, but go
can I
for it.
jump in here too, Maria, with this?
Yeah.
So Nina, just for clarification, so if they do have these in-person meetups or events, they are not required. So you don't feel like you have to like kill yourself to get out there. They are an optional, and typically they do have a virtual component to them, so you could for the most part, join virtually if you need to. Now, if you are close enough and are able to attend these, fabulous, right? Definitely do so, but you're not penalized if you can't attend these, if that makes sense.
Yes. Could I host one? I just have a few questions,
That's
like
a
in a
very good
row.
question. I'm not sure about that, but that would definitely be a question or even something we can explore, I'm sure, as a team.
Yeah.
So everything else is virtual, the Monday or the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Hmm.
And I actually applied for funding through Truist because I've been working for free virtually for the last year and a half. And it's awesome that it's fully funded, but I'm also looking for a job that I could possibly do while trying to do what I'm doing. Um, does that conflict? Does that mean I'm not going to get the funding if I'm a fellow, or you know what I'm saying?
Are you asking if previously applying to funding would somehow influence our decision on accepting you as a fellow or not?
Yeah, like rule me out,
No,
or I can't collect funds
no.
because I'm doing it.
No,
Okay.
no, no. You'd be good on all sense. I think, Milena, we've even had someone who did receive funding afterwards. That's just an example, not the expectation, but no, it wouldn't affect our decision making in your application.
Okay. All right, thanks. That's everything I had, I think.
Okay, thank you so much, Nina. Are there any other hands raised?
I haven't one more thought, and Milena, maybe you know this as well, but typically the application pool that we have for Truist, on average, do you kind of recall approximately how many are applying yearly and just kind of giving us a ballpark on that?
We usually announce the acceptance rate. And Maria, maybe you remember you recently pulled that info for the Truist Foundation Fellowship.
Yeah.
What was the acceptance rate
Let me pull
last
it up
year?
just to triple check. Yep. I don't want to give you guys the wrong number for trying to remember. Okay.
So, Nina, the
Last year
current
it was 9%.
9% acceptance rate, and last year we had a cohort of approximately 30. So this year it's doubled in size, correct?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Go for it, Tiffany.
Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. My name is Tiffany Harris James. I'm with Future Leaders Working. We provide young parent workforce development for parents between the ages of 18 to 30 years old in order to help them get a job in 30 days or less, paying 40K or more, depending on their experience. And we train them in general and construction administration. I found this webinar to be very helpful with a lot of great tools, tips, not just for this application, but any applications I'll use in the future. I wish I would have received them before I completed the application, and I hope it does not have any type of detriment on my application because my answers were a little bit straightforward. And I really liked everything that you said, Maria, and I'll be more than sure to use them in the future. But if we didn't answer them or structure them in that way, would we be able to have a little bit of leeway since we applied so early? Thank you.
I I hear you. And please don't worry about this. This is just more, everyone fills in an application in their own way. What I can tell you is that if there's any information that we think or we want to get to know a little bit more on or just want further clarification on, we'll be sure to reach out to you. So please don't fret if there's anything missing or if we do need any clarification as we assess your application, we'll be sure to reach out and then you'll have an opportunity to sort of give us more details there. Does that give you some ease?
It does. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay, you got it. I'm glad the tips were helpful either way. Okay.
Maria, I wanted to bring up a question from Carmilla, who asked about the type of the businesses that we that we support. I wanted to scroll back a little bit to the eligibility criteria, and if you can speak a bit more on the focus area again, and remind everyone what are the focus area preferences for this fellowship.
Great. Thank you so much. Yes. So when we're looking, the theme of this fellowship is essentially economic development. So when thinking about your venture and when you're applying, really we want to get a sense of how you're contributing and making impact in the economic development of the regions that you're in. This year, we do have these specific focuses of the small business ecosystem builders, as well as the career pathway creators. Like I mentioned earlier, one of them is essentially you're supporting other small businesses in their growth, and career pathways is that you're supporting economic mobility by providing job opportunities, upskilling, employment pathways, apprenticeships, or any of the tools and knowledge that someone might need to be able to up the ante when it comes to employee opportunities. Does that answer the question? Let me see. Yes, so I'm seeing it now. This is for Camila. Perfect. So if you do have that empowerment, excuse me, if you do have that economic development component, I would just make sure to be clear about that on your application so that we can get a sense of that connection as to why you would be a good fit for the fellowship. Because economic development can just take so many shapes and forms, right? Oh, let's see. Are we good on that, Camila? Do you have any other follow-up questions I can answer for you? Perfect. Got it. Awesome. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to send it in the chat. Is there a way to know or find out? So if you have applied already, you should have gotten a confirmation email. A lot of the times our emails will go to spam, so I encourage you to check that out. If you do have any questions on whether or not your application went through, please feel free to email me and I'll be more than happy to check that out. Let's see, are all the questions answered? Is anybody else, did we miss one? I think we're good. Does anybody else want to add
Seems like
anything?
we're good with the questions.
Mary, Nerva, is anybody, are we good? Are
I
we good to
just,
start wrapping
I
up?
want to just jump in and say, like, what an exciting opportunity
Okay, that's great.
to meet other people too, even in cohorts. I don't know. I'm just excited about that. This even came to my inbox. So anyway, that's all.
I love the enthusiasm, Nina. I am really happy to hear that. I'm glad that the opportunity is resonating with you.
And
Mhm.
Nina, if I can jump in here, that is often stated as being the absolute best part of our programs and of the fellowships that are run is the community element that's built through these programs. And I can tell you from working through, I don't even know how many fellowships at this point, but the cohorts that still stick together, that work together, that collaborate together years post fellowship are truly tremendous. Like I can't tell you the individuals who are still going to others' events and supporting them and sharing them and communicating, collabing. That's really the heartbeat of the programs that we do. So I'm really happy to hear that you already noticed that and you're not even a part of it exactly yet. So
Well, I mean, connection is the future. Like, I
Mm.
think we've all learned how much we need one another, and it's hard work to do. And when you're doing it in isolation, it's not good for your mental health. And that really matters for people who are giving care to others, you know? So, yeah, for sure. I'm excited. I'm excited that there's this many projects on the call, you know, that people are having vision for what they want to create instead of just being victims of a system that is broken, you know? That's all. For real this time.
No, Nina, there's no cap. Feel free to mention up as much as you want.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much for sharing.
Um, okay. So we have a question. If you have a major project with plans for economic development and career pathways creation that is not in operation yet, is this a viable fellowship? So to be perfectly honest with you, we look at the applications whose ventures already have an existing traction. When looking at fellowships across the board, Watson Institute's special sauce is that missing middle stage, which basically means we're helping fellows, or excuse me, entrepreneurs, small business owners, nonprofit founders who already have an existing business, have a level of traction, existing customers are already, in service and are at a point where they're not necessarily sure of what the next steps are for growth. But that being said, if right now is not necessarily ideal given where you're at, we do have other fellowship opportunities. We have them in spring, we have them in fall. We're constantly posting about our opportunities that are available. So, I don't want to dissuade you if maybe right now, if you haven't kicked it off yet, it might not be the right choice, but there will be future opportunities down the line that may align a little bit more based on where you're at. Let's see. Yes, okay. Well, just one last check. Any final questions? If I missed anybody, please feel free to speak up now. Mm. Okay, great. Well, yes, apply as soon as possible. Thank you everyone so much for joining. We'll be sending you an email with all of this great information as well as the recording. But other than that, I just want to thank you all for your interest, for the great work that you're doing, for the initiatives that you have. I also want to thank my team. Shout out Milena, Nerva, Mary for joining as well. And thank you so much. If you have any questions, if anything pops up, please feel free to email either Milena or I at the emails on the screen. We'll be more than happy to get you sorted right away. Thanks so much, everybody. All the best, and I hope to see you in the applicant pool.
Bye, everyone.